1. So a few years back, I worked at a candle store. We would sometimes have a coupon that allowed getting one item valued for up to $15 for free with an order or something like that. So I'm working the register one day while my manager was in the back room, and this family comes in, mom, dad, and son. Dad looked no older than 3 years old. So they're browsing around the store for a little and come up to pay, and they have that coupon. Majority of coupons have on the back printed one per customer/transaction, and this one did. So they put their stuff on the counter and I started to scan. Did you find everything all right?
Yeah, we're gonna use this coupon on this order.
Oh, I'm sorry. Unfortunately, I can't do that because the coupon can't be used multiple times during one transaction.
But it says right here, one per customer. We're more than one customer.
I understand that, but it won't really let me scan a coupon more than once during the same transaction. It'll pop up as an error if I try to scan it twice.
Well, can you just try?
I guess they thought that I was lying, and that it would magically work if I tried it again. My manager had walked back out, and I had her come over and talk to them. She told them the same thing I did, but the wife was still arguing. I heard my manager say, "Technically, we're not even supposed to let customers share coupons. You have to have your own separate ones, but I'll do your transaction now, and if your husband steps back in line, we can do a separate one for him, so he can use it as well." So my manager finished up her transaction and let me do the rest. The family left, and I thought that was the end of it. There were 3 or 4 customers in line, and I was busy ringing them out, so I didn't pay attention to see if the family had left the store. The next thing I know, the same husband and wife sent their son up to use the coupon. Yes, a 3-year-old boy. She handed him the money, the coupon, and 2 candles and said,
"Go take that up there for Mama."
I was like, seriously? My manager was right next to me and was like, "I've got this, just switch over to the other machine." She was not having it with them, and she told them she wasn't going to let him use the coupon, even though the wife argued that her 3-year-old son was in fact a paying customer. They left the store huffing and puffing, but didn't come back, so I figured it was over with. A few hours later, I was getting ready to clock out when my manager said, "You'll never guess who I just got a call from. Remember that family from earlier?" That was the husband on the phone. He said they already got an attorney and will sue me and the company. I told him to go right ahead. I ended up working there for another couple months, and my manager never heard back from the family or their attorney. But man, those Karens will go bonkers if you don't let them use coupons how they want to. 2. When I was fresh out of high school, I started working at a women's plus-size clothing store. Even though the store I worked at has been closed for years, I still occasionally think about my time there. Frankly, I don't miss it. I enjoyed the part where I helped people buy the clothes they were looking for, but there was this constant pressure to sell credit cards. For every $100, you needed to have one person sign up for a card, which was a hard sell given that we were in the height of a recession. To make it even harder, we had to pester customers 3 times. Do you have any idea of how quickly people got annoyed about that? There were more times than I could count where I got shouted at because I asked the 3rd time. Some even went as far as questioning my hearing. Honestly, I don't blame them. To make it even harder, we rarely got new customers. The company put the wrong address online and in the phone book, so no one would be able to find us. So imagine being a regular and be asked every time you walk in if you want to sign up for a credit card 3 times. It was rough. And being an 18-year-old with severe anxiety issues, it was absolute hell. During my time there, I was consistently the one with the lowest amount of credit cards to my name, which meant I had to make a personal call to the district manager to explain to her why I didn't sell a card. I never met the woman, but you can imagine the most Karen-sounding person out there. That was here. Every call was about the same. I could practically hear the haircut and the clink of gaudy jewelry as she'd say,
"Let me guess, you didn't get anyone to sign up for the card again? What's the excuse this time?"
It would take every ounce of self-control to stop myself from sounding as belittled as I always felt. "I'm really sorry, but we didn't have any customers today. I didn't even make a sale."
"I doubt that. There are plenty of customers that come by. The store is always busy when I stop by."
Bullshit. The woman stopped by maybe once every 5 or 6 months at closing. Still, the boss is always right.
Don't you care about your job?
So the call always ended with a promise to get someone to sign up for a card on my next shift. After a while, I started dreading making that call because she got increasingly nasty. My manager was a saint and would go out of her way to help me out. We'd cheat the system and we'd sign each other up for a card, always getting refused for one reason or another, and that worked for a while. That was until my manager quit, leading to the assistant manager, Susie, taking over. That woman was a goddamn two-faced snake. When talking to you, she was all sweetness and compassion, but the moment you turned your back, she started whispering insults and rumors about you behind your back. The newly appointed assistant manager, Jessie, wasn't much better. She was lazy and barely did her job. She would constantly throw sales reps under the bus to avoid getting in trouble. Shortly after this change in management, my grandparents both ended up in the hospital, twice each, and both nearly passed away. I was understandably a mess and was just unable to get much of anything done. Between the complete lack of customers and my low numbers, I was told I was put on a 2-week probation. That was fine by me. I wanted to focus on my family anyway. Thankfully, a couple of days into the probation period, my grandparents were finally being released from the hospital. With everyone home, my mom decided to treat them to a week at Disney once they were fully recovered. They hadn't been to Disney since my mom was a kid. It seemed like the best way to celebrate their recovery. I also had started working as a nanny during this break from work to start having additional income. This place wasn't paying a whole lot, and I could not afford to sit around and do nothing while I waited to get back to the store. Frankly, being a nanny for 2 kids was a lot less stressful for me than working at the store. When the final day of my probation period came, I decided to take my grandma into the store to buy her first bathing suit in years. She needed something new to make her feel pretty and comfortable when we were at the water park. What better place to find what she needs than where I worked? Gotta use that store discount after all. So, towards the end of the day, I took her to the store. While she tried on 2 bathing suits, I had to carefully move clothes out of the way that were piled up on the floor near the overflowing go-back rack, to leave room for her scooter to get to the handicapped dressing room. The assistant manager on duty and sales rep were just sitting around playing on their phones, ignoring the nightly chores. Okay, seemed a bit dumb to me. With the amount of clothes in the dressing room area, it would take them forever to put away, but whatever. Maybe they were taking a small break from it while we shop. I don't think much of it, and just focus on helping my grandma out of the dressing room so we can buy the bathing suit she liked the most. Overall, it was a nice, smooth shopping experience, and my grandma left feeling excited to go to her first water park in years. The next morning, I get a call from Susie while I'm at my other job. Thankfully, the kids haven't woken up yet, so I have a moment to talk. That usually high-pitched, chipper voice sounded unusually cold and irritated. "Hi, Madfortea. We're gonna have you come in 2 hours this week and see how you do. If you can get a sale and someone to sign up for a card, we can discuss more hours." I'm floored by this news. That doesn't even pay for gas going to work. I had to grit my teeth to stop myself from cursing her out. Between wanting to be professional and not wake the kids, I forced myself to hiss out my words through my gritty teeth. 2 hours? What gives? You know that's not enough time to get a sale in with the foot traffic we get. Can't you give me an entire shift? No, I can't. I can practically hear her roll her eyes as she snorts. You should have thought about that before you let your sales get so low. It's not my fault. Besides, it's what you deserve after the stunt you pulled last night. Stunt? What are you talking about? I try to think of what I could have possibly done to deserve a 2-hour shift, and nothing comes to mind. Don't play dumb with me. I saw the go-back rack. You left all that for Jessie to clean up. You know you have to put back everything you try on. This is when I saw red. Jessie was putting the blame on me. She probably got bawled out for the mess in the dressing rooms, and since there was a written record of my use of the associate discount, she accused me of making that mess. Susie, that's bullshit. None of that fits But they could fit your grandma. I know you came in and bought her some stuff. You should have thought about your co-workers instead of leaving all that behind for them. At this point, I check to make sure the kids are still sleeping before I head out in the kitchen. I'm about to let her have it. She can shit on me all she wants, but she's not going to drag my grandma into this. Listen here, I was off the clock. I've been off the clock for weeks. When I'm not working, I don't have to do any cleaning. And I'm not about to do her job when she should have put her goddamn phone down and actually cleaned up the store. My grandma tried on 2 things. That mess was there before I got there.
You should still have put it away.
Like hell. So I'm thinking, do I really need these 2 hours? There was no way I would be able to save my job in that time, and after this nonsense, I don't want it. So I take a deep breath and calmly say, you know what? Don't bother scheduling me.
What?
I quit. I don't think I need to give you 2 weeks for 2 hours. I'm sure someone else will be happy to pick them up. God knows there's been enough fights about who gets what hours. I'll stop by on payday to pick up my check.
You can't do that.
Yes, I can, and I just did. There's another pause. I'm sure she was trying to process all of this. But finally she grumbles,
Fine, come by during the morning shift to get your check.
And hangs up. Let me tell you, that lifted a weight off my shoulders. I held my head up high when I went in to pick up that check. She couldn't even look me in the eye. 3. I am putting my 2 weeks' notice in tomorrow as I head off to college. This was my first retail job, and let me say, retail is a whole new breed of work. When I first entered this store, I was a timid sales clerk that stumbled through my sentences. Now I am funny and love to interact with customers of all types. I look back at this one customer, and you know what? I realize that some people are a whole different type of shopper. To the story. I work at a retailer that supplies a lot of home appliances and furniture. We have some of the best customers I have ever worked with, and we pride ourselves on being customer-friendly. I have only a handful of customers that get on my nerves, but most of my customers are lovely people. We opened before a lot of other stores in our area, and we had a lot of people coming in and out. We were also one of the few stores accepting returns. Us associates have very strict instructions to follow with returns, and some customers get confused and agitated with those instructions. Eventually, they get their money back and we're able to quarantine those items. Most times. It was a sunny afternoon when I was working on the return desk. We had a specific register for returns at this time. The queue was rather thin and the store was empty. I was one of 2 cashiers up there at the moment, and the other cashier was fetching a price check for something. The queue is set up where you have to go around a certain section to get to the front. The end of the queue is near the front of the store, so people typically realize they enter the wrong side of the queue and follow the directions on the floor, but no, not this person. Let's call him Richard for obvious reasons. I'm getting ready to help the next people in the queue when Richard storms in with 2 bags in his hands. He is agitated. A blind man could see it. He cuts through the queue the wrong way and slams his receipt on the table. "Return these for me!" His tone immediately sets me off. I couldn't tell if he didn't see the people standing right there, or if he innocently went the wrong way. "Sir, there's the queue. You came in the—" "No, I didn't. Return them now!" I was taken aback by his tone. I would have thought he was joking, honest to God, but no, this guy was furious for no reason. "Folks, I will be right with you, okay?" The 2 people in the queue nod, and I get to work on the return. He proceeds to put the bag on the desk, and a piece of torn-off cardboard falls in my hands. The front of the tag is cut off. Keep that in mind. I look at the first item and notice it is a set of bath mats. I look at the receipt on my screen, and it shows that there were 2 bath mats purchased. I look at the tag, and it is the one that goes to the mats. It clearly states that it is $14.99. The other purchase mats that he didn't bring are $24.99. Alright, sir, so this one will be refunded $14.99. If you could put your card in, it will go right back on there. "Give that to me!" he snaps as he takes my receipt. He then points at the $24.99. "That is $24.99. I don't know what you're talking about. This is ridiculous." I give a small prayer up above before nodding and marking that return at $24.99. I wasn't going to fight him. As I'm almost finished with that return, I notice he has a bag in his hand containing a small rug. "Do you sell this here?" I nod at him before he throws it on my counter. I look at the receipt and to the rug before realizing there is no way that this rug was on the receipt. Sir, I am afraid that rug is not on this receipt. There is not a tag on it either. However, if you give me a moment, I can get you a price. I will still need to see your driver's license.
This is ridiculous! Put it back on my damn card already. I don't have my license. Why do you even need that?
I take in a silent breath before excusing myself to get a price. I come back and notice him tapping his fingers on my desk. He is looking at his phone while muttering something under his breath. It is $39.99, sir. I need your driver's license, though, or I can't give you the return.
I told you before I don't have it.
Then we can't take it. He snatches the rug away, but he leaves the bag on my desk. I say a small prayer before finishing the transaction, or so I thought. Sir, I'm afraid we're unable to take the bag. It is for our safety.
Why is your damn bag? You're acting absolutely ridiculous at this point.
I feel like the only word he knows is ridiculous. I start to get teary-eyed as he continues to rant at me. The people in the queue feel bad, but no one bothers to say anything.
Just return the damn...
I'm going to get my manager. I am starting to cry at this point, as I can't handle being yelled at.
You don't have to cry, just...
I didn't hear him as I walk over to one of my managers and tell her that she can go deal with Richard. I'm sobbing and take a moment in the break room. I have never heard a customer that angry before. After 10 minutes, I composed myself and ignored my tear-stained cheeks and bloodshot eyes. My manager asked me if I was all right, and I managed to choke out a yes. The rest of the customers that saw it apologized and asked if I was okay. I was. My manager ended up giving me a small thing of candy, as she felt bad. I never thought I would have to deal with that, and I pray he doesn't come back in. 4. I work as a cart pusher for a local retail establishment. One of many upsides of being a cart pusher is you don't have to deal with disgruntled customers as much as people on the sales floor, but not on this day. I am pushing up a line of carts to the grocery side when I get to the garage door for the grocery entrance. I hear what sounded like incoherent screaming. I turn around to see a man parked by the grocery pickup area, early to mid-50s. Pacing back and forth, and in front of a white Honda Civic. Not sure year or model, looked like a newer model.
Yeah, you. Because of your dumbass, one of the carts you left over there, the wind caught it and blew it and it hit my car.
I'm visibly confused as he's standing bare minimum 50 feet away from me with no carts near his car. Right, well, unfortunately, sir, there's nothing I can do for you regarding this. Would you like to talk to a manager?
No, I don't want to talk to a manager. Look at what you did to my car, you fucking dumbass.
I get my radio out. I need assistance out here. I got a man accusing me of damaging his car. He is screaming at me, cussing at me. He is very dissatisfied. Less than a minute later, the asset protection manager, support manager, and assistant manager come out. I quickly met them right outside of the garage door and quickly tell them that I have no idea what happened. He just started losing his mind and accusing me of damaging his car. We walk over to his vehicle, and the man had his finger pointed at an incredibly small dent on the front left side of his vehicle. If he didn't have his finger right there screaming,
"Look at what he did to my vehicle!"
I wouldn't have even seen it. The guy starts going off, yelling at the managers how I'm a dumbass, and this is all my fault that the wind supposedly blew a basket over 50 feet to hit his car. On a smooth, flat surface with no hill incline and no strong winds that day.
Do you have any idea how hard I work to keep a spotless vehicle? And his dumbass fucks everything up.
At this point, I couldn't hold it back and start letting some laughs out because I didn't lay a finger on this man's vehicle and I don't control the wind. Stop laughing, says the assistant manager. I left to go to a cart carol and get more baskets because I was thinking if I kept laughing, this guy could attack me or something. I get back up about maybe a minute or two later with more carts, parked them right by the door, and walked back over to this guy still losing his mind screaming at the managers. At this point, the guy's wife comes out of the store and doesn't even question what's going on, just walks right by it and sits in the passenger seat of the vehicle.
Are you even going to pay for this? Look at my car!
Sir, if our associate did not damage your vehicle, but rather a wind picked up a basket, as you told us, then this is an act of nature. We are not responsible for acts of nature.
So the store won't even pay for this?
Sir, you can file an incident report with us, and we can do an investigation. but there's no guarantee that we will be held accountable for the damages.
Forget it!
Guy sits down in his vehicle and I turn to the managers. I have no idea honestly where this guy's coming from, but I didn't see a single basket near the I turn around to see him sitting in the driver's seat, one hand on the steering wheel with the other hand flipping me off, which is not the recommended driving position, while repeatedly screaming F you. I give him the biggest smile I can while waving at him goodbye as he's backing up. In the end, I didn't get in trouble for any of this, and there was no investigation launched regarding this issue. 5. It was about 17 or 18 years ago, in a large department store anchor in a mall. I was working the blue jeans counter on the first floor of the store. It was the closest checkout to one of the big side entrances. A preteen kid of about 11 or 12 comes up to my register with 2 giant shopping bags in tow. The biggest bags our store makes, and they are bulging, and he's straining to carry the bags that are practically dragging behind him. The kid says he wants to return some stuff. That's what we're here for. Well, we'd rather sell stuff, but we're also here to process returns. I'll do my job. The kid then starts throwing all the various items onto the counter, and they all have their tags with a little proof of purchase barcode we put on them at the time of purchase, so we could take them for return without a receipt. So they should all be valid returns. He piles up a lot of stuff on the counter for returns from around the store. He was throwing jeans, pants, socks, ties, shirts, sneakers, high heels, lingerie, pantyhose, dresses and skirts, pajamas, dress shirts, a couple of jackets, men's and boys' underwear. It was essentially an entire family's wardrobe. And it was all scanning as valid returns as everything had all the tags and proof of purchase. Since who sells every item is tracked with those barcodes, and we were all on a quota system that is tied to our pay rate and performance evaluations, these returns would count against somebody who would likely be in trouble later for the huge hit their performance would take. Well, eventually this giant pile of clothing was finished tallying out, and it came to several $1,000s worth of clothes to return. Now, before I pushed the button to finish the return, I had to ask a scripted question to the young customer. Do you want the return in the original tender? His eyes lit up like Christmas morning.
Tender? Yeah, I want tender.
Okay, original tender it is. I push the button for that, and the register makes that loud, grinding noise it makes while it prints out a receipt, as I tell him that however many thousands of dollars was returned to the credit card that all this stuff was purchased on. He goes from giddy to whiny brat in 0.5 seconds flat.
But I want cash. Give me cash. I want cash now.
He actually started stomping the floor as he says it, starting on a temper tantrum more fit for a toddler. He keeps repeating that he wants those thousands in cold hard cash right now for the returns. Well, besides the fact that I have just a few thousand in the register at most, so I'd have to send him upstairs to the office for that much cash. Even if he was going to get a cash return, the bigger problems were that you can't do a cash return for an item purchased on a credit card. And the biggest problem was that the return had just been completed, and the items were store property again. I explain these points to the young man, who gets a scared look on his face, and very nervously asks for all the clothes back. I remind him that he has returned the clothes, but if he wants, I will sell it all back to him for the several $1,000 sum. He gets a look of shock and horror on his face and makes a run for the exit, dashing out of the side entrance of the store and into the parking lot. I glanced out the glass doors and saw the kid flat out sprinting across the parking lot and off into the distance. I always wondered, even almost 2 decades later, what was going on with that. Probably stolen or something, but I still scratch my head at the whole thing. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Adventures in Fast Food and Retail, number 99. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use and sent in stories for use in this video. I've been getting into, well, not getting into, I've watched them for years, but I've been getting more into video essays of late, discovering some new channels in the process. Some of these essays are very well put together. Others are, well, they feel like more of an excuse to have a bit of a whinge about certain creative people in show business. I came across one earlier by someone who really didn't like Stephen Moffat, and you could pretty much tell that was the agenda there. Well, I'm not going to describe it in case you find it and you realize who it is, because I certainly don't want to direct any negativity to them. I didn't appreciate that particular essay, but I did watch others they did, and the others were quite well done, actually. But we don't all have to agree on everything. Okay, and with that little grumble, I'm going to head off for now, so until next time. Thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself.